So my guild in Ashes of Creation just disbanded again. Now, some of you guys are probably wondering, didn't you make a video about this last month? Yes, that guild also disbanded. So here we are yet again. And this time it's not nearly as exciting. There was no e-dating, no Chauncey, no straw polls, none of the ridiculous crazy shit this time around, but the result is still the same. And I'm beginning to wonder if I'm the problem. Now, to defend myself a little bit, I was not an officer in any of these guilds, not a class lead. I got 0 gear handouts, just a normal member. But seemingly that's all it takes to destroy a guild, is just have me in your guild and your guild will be gone in a month. So what happened? Why did my guild DOPAMINE disband? I'm going to break this down into 3 problems, starting from the biggest problem to the least biggest problem. So the number 1 biggest problem I saw with DOPAMINE is that people played the game way too much. I mean, holy crap, guys. This is an alpha video game, and I think probably the average amount of time people were playing per day, like average, 10 hours a day. Like, that's not even, I'm being dead serious. People played the absolute shit out of this alpha video game. And it's honestly amazing that we were still playing it that hard for a month. Some of the people, like, to put things into context, I was like a casual player in this guild, and you guys don't know me as like a casual gamer. That's not what built up this YouTube channel. Just to give you the example of how hardcore people were playing this game, let's talk about what my guild did to level. A lot of the people in my guild leveled in static 8-man preset groups, which is not that crazy of a concept, but the amount of time they played the game in these static groups consecutively is genuinely insane. So when the servers first came up, I was there. I was minute 1, server comes up, we're leveling. I play all day. And so does everybody else in my guild. They play all day. But I go to sleep. They keep playing. I wake up. They're still playing. I play all day again. I go to sleep. They're still playing. They played for like 30 plus hours. And this is not one group. This is probably like 3 or 4 static 8-man groups playing for easily 24 hours. Some of these guys went like 32, 36 hours straight in an 8-man group, grinding dungeons, like playing hard. They're not like dilly-dallying and, smelling the roses. They're just, straight gas for 24 plus hours in a static 8-man optimized group. And not only that, they were coordinating their sleep schedules. They would all go to sleep at the same time, say, hey, get back up in 3 hours. We're doing it again. And they really did this. And again, this was probably like 20 plus people in the guild played the game like this for like the first week. It was actually crazy. The levels of sweat people were putting into this alpha video game. So these people sort of did it to themselves. I mean, guys, like, the game is nowhere close to release according to the developer's own timelines. So I don't really feel like if you have 300 plus hours in this game in phase 2, playing 10 hours a day, and you're disappointed that there's not like a lot of compelling in-game loops, like, you're kind of the problem here. I feel like I feel like you kind of got your money's worth, and the medium player is just nowhere near you. Like, it's honestly just crazy what people in this guild have done. So I would say that is by far the number 1 problem, is that people are just playing the absolute shit out of this alpha video game. And I would love to know what Intrepid thinks of how much some people are playing. And this is not a DOPAMINE exclusive issue. There are, segments of certain guilds that also play the game this hard. And they're facing the same issue. It's just like, I put 500 hours into the alpha too, and there's not any content. It's just like, guys, this is insane. So, chill. Like, seriously, guys, take a little bit of a chill pill, because I promise the medium player isn't going like, oh man, I've got 530 spell power. What do I do now? What do I do? Like, it's just crazy. Problem number 2. There's not a ton of compelling in-game loops right now, especially when it comes to large-scale guild activities. Right now, the primary game loop is reach level 25, which, again, for most players, that's kind of a lot. It takes a while for your average player to get to level 25. Then get the gear enchanted. Most people aren't even going to get to get through step 2 of that. Again, I think a lot of people in these hardcore guilds, and a lot of my audience probably skews hardcore just due to our history, right? guys, if you're one of these people that's got all the stuff, you are, I promise you, in the very, very small minority. And outside of those things, there really isn't a lot of compelling in-game loops. Your average player doesn't really care about nodes right now. Nodes basically function as a way for guilds to flex, and elections don't really matter either because each player can vote up to 6 times. It's just a contest to see who has the most neats and levels up level 10 characters to vote in elections. It's really stupid. So the node game loop is definitely incomplete. The world is still relatively small. I will say, though, they're patching this pretty rapidly. Like, the world is expanding pretty rapidly. We're all still level 25. We don't have access to all the classes. The game is just incomplete. However, the primary reason that some people in DOPAMINE are pumping the brakes and just taking a little bit of a break from the game, and when I say pumping the brakes, they might only play 4 hours a day instead of 16. Like, just, again, crazy. Is because there's genuinely not that much compelling large group content in the game. If you are a guild leader of a large PvP guild, it's going to be tough to keep your players engaged with the current offerings because there just aren't a lot of compelling guild activities to do. Running caravans in a big train right now is kind of a bad idea because they bug out, you become a juicy target, and people will fuck with you just because it's large-scale PvP content and there's not much of it. So even if they lose, they'll still do it just because whatever, right? It's a fun thing to do. Let's go fuck with them. And wars are just beyond stupid. Wars are not fun at all. Wars are basically a contest of peekaboo and log out and hide and then try and surprise somebody with like more numbers than they have. It's really stupid. If wars were fought over an objective where, like, let's say you declared war on somebody and then the zone became like, I don't know, like a Arathi Basin where there were points of interest in King of the Hill or something. If there was an objective that you had to fight over that forced conflict, wars would be a lot more interesting. But right now, with wars being TDM, genuinely, you could declare war on somebody, get a kill, and log out, and you would win the war. Like, it's really stupid the way it is right now. And I think people are starting to figure out that wars don't really matter. Like, the score of a war doesn't really matter because people are pretty much just using wars right now for frivolous reasons. Like, oh, these guys are in our farming spot, or we're farming like Forsaken Blades fragments or whatever sort of rare spawn, and they're there. Well, we don't want to go corrupt, so we're just going to declare war on them and bullying them out of our spot. So that's really the only use for war right now is for stuff like that. Or unfortunately, in some instances, they will see a crafter that they think has some shit, and they'll just declare war on him and kill him in town. So, alpha video game, guys. Unfortunately, this problem will get worse before it gets better. There just isn't going to be any compelling large group content added to the game in the immediate future. That doesn't mean the game's not fun. I personally have a lot of fun being a desert bandit and doing smaller scale stuff. But if you're somebody that really loves that, you know, guild v guild, larger scale stuff, there's just not really that many compelling options. Wars are stupid. Big caravan runs are stupid. Nodes are kind of stupid right now. I don't know. But that doesn't mean the game's not fun. That doesn't mean the game is necessarily bad. It's just an alpha video game that is not feature complete. Again, the game is not coming out anytime soon, according to the developer's own timelines. This is not me saying that and projecting that. This is them saying that. So, yeah, I'm still having fun. I have fun with my desert bandit business. But it is what it is. Now on to the final problem, and this is the only thing that was in DOPAMINE's control, but I'm not sure if it would have changed the outcome long-term. I think, again, long-term, every guild is going to deal with this problem in the immediate, short-term future. But the alliances were definitely a real fun killer. And I'm going to defend why DOPAMINE had alliances with Nova Ortem and Barcode and the other guilds for some reason. I'm going to defend this because if you want to do ZVZ content against Envious and Polar, who are allied, you have to have the numbers. You cannot compete without the numbers. If they're allied and you want to compete with them, well, guess what? You better have some allies. So it was kind of a necessary evil because in these big fights, and this is in this MMO, this is in almost every single MMO, the number one thing that matters is how many people you have versus how many people they have. Then the number two thing that's most important is group composition. And then very, very, very down low, like much lower at number 3, would be the decision making and the shot calling ability of your leaders. That matters. But when it comes to like individual mechanical skill in these big fights, let's be honest, most of the time, it doesn't really matter. The main things that matter are your numbers, your group comp, and your shot caller making the right decision. That's it. Very rarely are you seeing like crazy mechanical ability come out. Very rarely are people overcoming these things unless one side is just so unbelievably bad or unbelievably undergeared in comparison. It just doesn't really happen. Usually you can tell by looking at the fight before it happens who's going to win. Just before it even happens, you kind of know who's going to win. However, with all of that being said, the alliances and the politicking really dampened the fun for a lot of people, myself included. Now, obviously, I have a personal bias because I used to famously extort caravans in the desert, and then my guild DOPAMINE did a political move where we let people run caravans out of the desert for free. And yes, it did build up our node. I get it, but also, like, that's not super fun for me. It's not super fun for a lot of the players like me, which this guild largely consisted of. So, we have to keep in mind DOPAMINE's origin story. DOPAMINE was born out of the death of Ethereum, and Ethereum was a guild full of pit bulls, wild dogs that are just used to fighting and scrapping, and they come from EPH, where that's just sort of what it was, and then we're in DOPAMINE. And the best way I can describe it is Tanner and DOPAMINE were like these pit bulls getting adopted by a white woman. And Tanner would dress them up in sweaters, and we'd go to Starbucks drive-thrus, and we'd go to the dog park. But at the end of the day, they're still pit bulls, and it was a very stark contrast in how these pit bulls were taken care of. Tanner was your basic white woman who dressed us up in sweaters, and we went and got pup cups, and Alec was like Michael Vick. Very, very different vibes. I classify myself as one of these pit bull players, and it's so difficult when somebody in your alliance steals a node from you or tags a mob before you, and you're not allowed to PvP them because it's, you're allied with them. And under any other circumstance, you would rip their head off. You are better at the game than them. You would destroy them in any other context, but you can't because you're allied with them. And that is infuriating because to these pitbull style players, that is like a little, dachshund walking up into your backyard and pissing on the tree in your backyard. So, somebody steals a 10 node from me and I'm just like, you just want to fucking go, but you can't because you're allied with them. And this is especially exasperated by, and I'm not going to pick on Nova Ortem specifically, but they have a large guild, and it's very difficult to contain that and keep everybody well behaved. If you have 500 people, you're going to have a few knuckleheads that, train mobs or attack you or just like a really, BM. So Nova Ortem in particular was a real pain point for our guild because, again, under any sort of circumstance, it would just be like, dude, if you fucking do that again, like, we're just going to flag up. And towards the end before the guild broke up, people were just flagging up. So, yeah, like, it was just, it sucked. It fucking sucked being allied with the people the way we were. The only suggestion I had at the time was to have the alliances be temporary. Only during wars, we are allied. The other 22 hours of the day, it's free reign, whatever, it's PvP. But, dude, I'll be honest, I had a lot of instances with Nova Ortem too, where it's just like, this fucking guy. And Nova Ortem did have like this weird superpower where, like, if they did something kind of shitty to you and you would send them a whisper, they didn't understand English. But if you retaliated, dude, it was Rosetta Stone. Perfect English, man. If you kill one of them, bro, they're typing a perfect sentence, semicolons, perfect English. So crazy superpower they got. And again, I don't want to single out Nova Ortem specifically because every guild has knuckleheads that are going to break the alliance and break the treaties and do shitty things. They're just the biggest guild, so statistically they're going to have the most knuckleheads, and they're the ones that people just dealt with the most. And we have our own knuckleheads. In fact, I'm probably one of those knuckleheads too. But it's just these little agreements in game are always messy like this, and it's just a pain point for a lot of players when you can't retaliate. So that would be the only suggestion I would have had at the time, would be to just let's do the alliances, but only during wars. That's it. Only during wars. The alliance situation was such a pain point that a core group from DOPAMINE left the guild to start their own guild. And in my opinion, they did it almost exclusively so they didn't have to be in these dumb alliances. And I totally understand, because from their point of view, you know, they've played the game a lot, they got the gear, and they just want a PvP. I totally get it. So they started their own guild, and quite frankly, they are just decking up on everybody. They are just, they have got that pent up pitbull energy, and they need to attack toddlers, which is just any other guild. I'm not in that guild, but I do really resonate with the message right now, because these last 24 hours I have been ungilded, and I'll be honest, I'm sad that my social group got destroyed, but in terms of PvP, I've been having a blast being in no guild. I've just been attacking anybody I want to. I've been robbing caravans again. Kind of having fun. You know, I am still looking for a guild. A lot of people probably are wondering why I didn't join the Purple Guild. I have had a few of those guys reach out to me and want me to apply. Honestly, I just don't think I'm hardcore enough for those guys. When I say those guys play the game hard, they really play the game hard. And this is the most hardcore I'm ever going to be. And I don't think I'm hardcore enough right now. And I'm not working like 50, 60 hours a week. And that is like something that might happen here soon. So yeah, I just don't think I'm hardcore enough. And those guys play hard. So more power to them. I think they have an interesting concept. I am super curious to see how well Purple does long term, because I'd say that the biggest struggles this guild will face will be long term, like redundancy and dealing with player churn, because you know people are gonna have to take breaks from the game or whatever, right? And if you only have 50 people, losing somebody percentage wise is more impactful, right? But I do love the concept, and it is something I would have been all over back in the WildStar days, but right now, I don't have that dog in me anymore, quite literally. So either way, it's compelling. It's good for the game for this to happen and for this to exist, because I don't want every guild being the Nova Ortem, DOPAMINE, envious polar archetype where you just have these big guilds and everybody's just. So I do think it's kind of interesting to see like a small elite group of like poop sockers just to see what they can do. Is it like achievable? They're definitely gonna, in the short term, they're going to fuck some shit up. There is no other way about it. They've got that pent up pitbull energy, and they're going to attack toddlers. They're just going to. So for the next few weeks, Purple is going to be running fucking havoc on Vyra. And I will say, pound for pound, they're probably the strongest guild in the game. But that's the operative word, pound for pound. Does that matter? Honestly, in my opinion, no. This is a game where you can get zerged. You know, you might have the sickest 50 players in the game, but in these large-scale battles where skill expression is shaky at best, and they just have like 130 guys that are just, you know, playing fucking mages and two-tapping people, who fucking cares? Like, does it matter? Like, probably not, right? So what now? Well, I think the play for me right now is to remain guildless and just sort of wait for my dopamine social circle to kind of come back down to reality a little bit. People kind of saw the guild notification, were just like, what? And they're like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna take a little bit of a break. I'm gonna go watch Super Bowl, whatever. So we're just gonna let the dust settle and kind of see how people think as they come back. I'm personally still going to be playing the game. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. In fact, I'm probably having more fun with the game now than I have in the last few weeks, just because I've got so many targets to kill and I can be the desert bandit that I once was without any of the politics. But I do appreciate all the guild offers and all the people reaching out. I am still like kind of weighing my options, and I just mainly have to see what other people that I, you know, socially play with, what they want to do. So yeah, it is what it is. Just sort of taking it slow for now. But to the people that have put in like 300 or 400 hours into this alpha in phase 2, like, you gotta just chill, man. Like, unironically, like, go touch some grass, man. Go feel the breeze. Like, man, you kind of did it to yourself. In conclusion, I don't think any of the leadership in DOPAMINE made any grave mistakes. I mean, yeah, I would have loved if the alliances were done temporarily, but again, I'm not sure if any of that would have really mattered. I think this is just a case of people playing the game too much and the game not being finished and people being upset that the game's not finished. I think that's kind of the core of the issue, and I think that every competitive large-scale guild is going to face this exact same issue where people are like, where's it at? This kind of sucks. And it's just, the game's not complete yet, guys. Like, you know, chill. You gotta chill a little bit, guys. It's the alpha. So, anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I have heard some interesting rumors for Phase 3 of Ashes of Creation, and I'll just leave it at that. Could get very interesting in phase 3. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good one.
You could not live with your own failure. Where did that bring you? Back to me.
We battled through the nights too long. Dopamine, why do we get it wrong? In the alpha we burn too bright. Now we're shadows in the light. I killed one strong, I feel so thin. Lost ourselves, lost our care. Every fight a taste of pain. Dreams started to wane. Only Allah can save us now. Raise us up and show us how. From the ashes we'll arise. Dopamine won't say goodbye.
We get grappling? We get grappling?
Anyway, you guys got a res?
No.
No, dude, we're fighting.
Good I got him.
Look at Team Mugsy. Look at Team Mugsy. They're getting reses off now. Look at Team Mugsy. Bow him down. Bow him down. Shoot his ass. Shoot his ass. Let's go. Let's go. Kazan on the left. Kazan. Overextended. Kill him. Kill him. Look at him. Look at him. He's dead. I'm charging in. I'm charging in.
Grappling.
Grappling's going down here. Grappling's going down here. Kill him. Kill him.
Look at Sink.
Sleeping Sink.
Okay, we gotta kill Sink. We gotta kill Sink.
On the left. Fighter on the left. Just a seal. I'm
coming over. I'm coming over.
Get this kid out. Get this city off.
Grappling. Look at Grappling. Do they have any more clerics? Look at Mal in the back. They have a cleric.
Try to rash.
Okay, I'm going in. I'm out.
Focus
Mal.
Get on Mal. I'm charging Mal here.
Mal's rooted.
Go.
He's dead. Mal's dead.
This Raven kid.
Get his ass.
Holy shit, these
Yo,
kids are
I hope you kids are recording. I hope you guys are recording.
I got